Hi, this is Jennifer Van Damsel, and you're listening to Top 5 Comics Podcast.
Welcome to Top 5 Comics Podcast, people talking about comics, pop culture, and events. Today we have the sinners of comics. The guy who doesn't clean the Cheeto dust off his fingers, CBS.
I just read with them. It's all part of the pages. It's good.
And the guy who dog-ears his comics, Rob. Yeah, I stop a lot, and I just fold the page.
It's freaking ridiculous.
I just bend it. Collector value be damned.
It's freaking terrible. Alright, well, welcome to Top 5 Comics Podcast. I assure you those things are not true. The last time I saw Rob actually fold something was when he made the bed. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We were kids. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm not very good at folding.
Right. Yeah. And the Cheeto thing, well, I do love Cheetos. I would never touch a comic book with the fingers of Cheetos. That's why I just crack the bag and pour it into my face hole. Like eating cereal. No milk, just dry, right in the face hole. Now? Alright. Well, well, today we're doing episode number 101. Oh, yeah. To Ross's chagrin, which he wanted to go back to 1, of course, which we've talked about the last couple episodes. So we'll see, you never know, might marvel it up. And then just jump to 1,000. Why not?
Yeah, it could happen.
I mean, how many times have we said Top 5 Comics Podcast? At least 101 times.
At least, yeah.
Alright.
We may even have said it more than that.
Well, Garen, yeah, for sure.
Some special event stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, when we talk about ourselves. And introduce ourselves at events.
Well, that's true, too.
Yeah.
If we were to count all that stuff.
Yeah, we easily hit 1,000. But for audience purposes, we're at episode number 101. Oh, yeah. Today we're going to be doing Moon Knight number 1. Oh, man, that's not true, because there's no such thing as number 1s anymore, Rob. Moon Knight number 188. Legacy numbers. So this is actually the number 1 for the new storyline. Anyhow, then we're also doing Black Lightning number 1 from DC Comics, followed by Runaways. Runaways issue number 3 from Marvel. And then we'll follow that up with Port of Earth number 1 from Image Comics. And then we'll finish that all off with Ragman number 2 from old DC Comics. So then once we get done with the books, we'll go and run an interview for you from Mr. Matteo Scalera, fantastic artist, awesome guy, super great to talk to. So we'll run that after we get done with the books. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of news. Unfortunately, Mr. Ross is off in his satellite, doing whatever he does in the satellite. I never really understand that.
Satellite of Ross?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what he does.
I'm pretty sure it means he's actually really out killing, but, whatever. With that in mind, news-wise, we've got a couple things that are kind of big deals. So first off, which is when you think Ross would be right on the dime for. So the DC is finally giving Mira, the Queen of Atlantis, her own miniseries, a 6-part miniseries, which is actually titled Mira, Queen of Atlantis. It's going to be written by Dan Abnett, and art is going to be by Lan Medina. So it's the first time she's had a standalone series. I mean, she's been in plenty of Aquaman books, and she's been in a whole bunch of Justice League books, but as far as her own series, it's her first own series, so that's cool.
And it looks like they're going to sneak her into the Justice League movie.
We'll see. For sure. She's definitely in the trailers. Whether that makes any sense later on or not, it's hard to say.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so, interested for that. I mean, it's a 6-part miniseries, so I want to say starting, I don't remember the date it's starting. Probably not until January. Anyhow, so that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a first. We also have a couple of company mashups sort of happening. And we finally got a cast for Sci-Fi's Deadly Class TV series. So, Sci-Fi, which, I mean, I know that the automatic what that means.
Sharknado,
right. Is making a live-action Deadly Class series, which we rep Deadly Class a lot. I mean, Rick Remender is awesome, and Deadly Class is a great series, so book-wise, you really should be checking it out, because it's awesome. But cast-wise, we've got some interesting people in the cast. Most notable for me would be Henry Rollins, who is cast as like a smaller part in the cast. As far as how often he'll be in the show, it's hard to say. He's playing the character Jürgen Denk, a German, so I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. He's a part of the comic books, but he's not a main cast member. Another one that's really cool that is kind of getting he's getting a lot of stuff right now. Benedict Wong, who is Doctor Strange's Wong from the Doctor Strange movie, will also be in Deadly Class, and he's part of the core cast. He's going to be Master Lin. So a little different age-wise from Master Lin, but hey, the dude's awesome. I mean, he was also in Prometheus, actually, which is crazy. And he's scheduled to be in the upcoming Avengers movie, so the Avengers Infinity whatever. So the dude's getting around, which is awesome.
Yet to be titled Avengers Infinity Wars. That's not the real title yet.
No, but yeah. There's a few other folks in there that are connected to other movies. The girl they had playing Jubilee, she's going to be in it, playing Saya. It's Lan Condor, I think. Lan Condor, yeah. She's the girl who was Jubilee in the most recent X-Men, the Apocalypse movie. So she's not in it so a lot, but that's the chick. Which I think that's cool. I mean, cast-wise, there's a few other names in here that are interesting, but those are the ones that really, I was like, wow, that's cool. All right. Because I love Henry Rollins. The dude's amazing. He's hilarious. Really straight up. Dude, but won't put up with bullshit. He won't ever come back to Junction again. And I totally believe that. Which is sad. Because he's awesome. Anyhow, so there's that, which is, look out for Deadly Class. I mean, it is sci-fi, so that does beg questions. But they've had a couple shows that have come out lately. They're pretty freaking good. Dark Matter is great, which is on Netflix now. So if you at least season 1 and 2, so check it out because that show is awesome. And it started as a comic book also, Dark Horse book. So other news, and then we'll get on to books. Hasbro made a bid for Mattel, so two toy company manufacturers, according to the Wall Street Journal. It's hard to say what exactly the deal offer was, and at this point, I don't think there's been a resolution to it. But what's cool about that is that would mean that G.I. Joe and Transformers can invite He-Man to the party, along with Barbie. Well, then, Hot Wheels and whatever. Not, the most interesting, but right now, so, while that in itself is not super interesting when I say it that way, because it makes it sound like a Malibu Barbie playhouse and all of a sudden G.I. Joe comes to play, and he's short compared to Barbie. But, right now, Hasbro's going through this whole Revolution thing, where they're matching everything together, so...
With IDW?
With IDW, right. And then the plans are to move that into the movie franchises, but so far it hasn't happened for the movie side. That's a bigger project to take on. I mean, G.I. Joe and Transformers are only two that have their foot in the world of movies right now, so...
Yeah, and we're still waiting for a good G.I. Joe movie.
Well, the second one was alright.
It's alright.
Well, there's 5 Transformers movies that are questionable all around.
Yeah. I would say we're waiting for a good Transformers movie, but I already gave up on that. A long time ago.
Ow.
The only thing that might save it would be the crossover.
Right?
I mean, really.
Drop some Rom in there, be freaking awesome. He's the hub for everything, Rob, I'm telling you.
It's true. Actually, in their own IDW world, it's true.
Yeah, it works pretty good.
It does, actually.
So, also, they're another company... And this is all, from what I know, it's talk. So who knows if it's really true or not. Apparently Disney was rumored the idea of buying Fox, or 20th Century Fox. Not Fox, the corporation in general, but the movie side of Fox. So, the X-Men properties. Which if they buy the company, then I guess we could have everybody playing the same universe, which is kind of cool. I'm a little on the naysay side of that, simply because we have Logan, which for all as much I hate pieces of it, is pretty impressive as an R-rated movie, and the only way we get it is an R-rated movie. Otherwise, Wolverine can't ever use his claws, unless it's off-screen or to pop a balloon or something. And then we got Deadpool, which language barriers, the mouse has a real problem with that, except for himself when he's behind closed doors slapping the Jonas Brothers. That's why they're all so sad, Rob. But nevertheless, those two rubs are questionable. Whereas Fox is willing to go the extra step, I just don't think that Marvel, Disney, is willing to make that extra jump. So, for all the fans are like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. If they buy it, it'll be so great. X-Men and Fantastic Four. Blah, blah, blah. But they're the same ones that are like, Deadpool's my favorite movie. And I'm like, well, there's your catch, Doug.
That's true. Deadpool wouldn't be able to stay the way that he is under Disney. Now, there's always the possibility they buy that and don't bother to
change the brand.
Say that it's Disney.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, it's still 20th Century Fox that's putting out that Deadpool movie.
Right, well, yeah, there's a lot of in-house play with that stuff, just like Sony and Sony DVD. While they're the same company, they're technically different companies, so one sells the property to the other, and then the other one turns around and puts the DVDs and Blu-rays out, and then the money just gets shifted between the two companies, so it cuts part of the creators out of it. Yeah. Well, it's a whole money laundering thing.
There's a lot of companies that are kind of shell.
Right.
And you don't realize that they're the same company. Yeah. Johnson & Johnson owns a lot of other companies that don't come off and say that they're Johnson & Johnson because why would you?
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah, it's not the most unheard of thing in the world.
No.
But that would be, I mean, it's interesting, so I guess we'll see. I mean, at what point did it become a monopoly? I mean, granted, I guess Sony would still be around. So, I don't know. We'll see. Certain things definitely cool. Other things, not so much. Another pretty big piece, and this is probably the biggest piece, like, legitimately. I mean, if the Fox thing is true, then that's pretty big news.
Yeah.
But this next piece, we have, like, a major writer-creator over in Marvel shifting companies. So, Brian Michael Bendis is moving over to DC, which is a giant thing because he's been working over at Marvel for the past, 15, 20 years? The guy's the only reason the Ultimate Universe didn't just crumble at the beginning.
That's true.
These Miles Morales books are great.
Yeah.
So, like, writer-wise, the dude's done a lot of stuff that's freaking awesome. He's done some other stuff that, of course, is questionable. But that's the same for anybody else. I mean...
Yeah, everybody's career is going to have that.
Yeah, ups and downs or whatever. So it's interesting to see the idea of him moving over to DC and, like, where exactly they would drop him and what he would work on. Because we do have a batch of new books coming out. Granted, he's not labeled as any of those pieces... But if they're already launching 6 new titles that are new in general because they're not titles that happened before, and 5 of them are new characters altogether. So it'll be interesting to see where he falls. I don't think there's been any announcements yet about what he's working on or what his last book for Marvel is, but this shift is definitely happening. So while that is crazy, big news if you're a comic reader, not some big news if you don't care about comic books. Which is why you're listening. I mean, seriously. No, keep listening. Don't stop. No, it's all right. Nothing else. Hit that like button. Make sure to leave a quote or comment on iTunes, even if you hate it. Because that's all iTunes cares about. And unfortunately, we have to care about iTunes.
So, like and subscribe.
That's YouTube, bro.
Oh.
But you can still subscribe on Podomatic.
Subscribe, like, and leave a comment.
Right. Yes. But all 3 things. And even Podomatic lets you leave comments, too.
Especially if you don't like it. I mean, if you came in and you were just wanting to hear about a movie and you didn't hear about it, like and subscribe. Or, I'm sorry, like and post and put a comment. Share with your friends on Facebook. I don't care. Whatever.
Awesome. You sound like...
a little bit.
What's her name from the new Ragnarok movie?
Oh, Helena?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kate Blanchett, who's awesome and plays the part great. Yeah. But the character is... As soon as she gets serious for 3 seconds, automatically follows what she says with something stupid.
Yeah, Thor has a couple issues.
Which we'll talk about in a different episode, because it's still pretty new, and we don't want to hit you where it hurts while it's still going on.
Well, we want you to...
And get a chance to see it.
Yeah, we want you to watch it.
It's worth watching. Movie-wise, it is fun, it is entertaining. There's just occasions when the dial's turned up too high, and your speakers aren't built for volume 12.
Yeah, they needed to cut some of it back.
That's an analogy. The volume itself is fine in the movie. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's an analogy. Anyhow, let's move on to some books, Rob, before we get ourselves into trouble. Right. Mouth.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hit Moon Knight 181!
Don't actually hit it, but go ahead, yes.
Well, we'll read it.
That's a good idea.
Well, we're not going to read it. We're going to tell you about it. All right. So, written by Max Bims and art by Jason Barrows.
I think that's Bemis, but go on.
Bemis? I apologize if I'm wrong there.
Right.
At least I didn't say Beavis.
It's entirely different. That letter's not in there, the B's.
Yeah, well, alright. If you had actually been following the previous run for Moon Knight, this actually mirrors that a little bit. So just to throw in there, the previous run for Moon Knight was basically him in the asylum, and he was dealing with really losing his mind, and whether he could come out the other side of that. And so this one actually begins with one of the doctors that was trying to help him in the previous story. So she knows that he was Moon Knight, and a bit of his affliction. Well, she's got a new case, and this unnamed war veteran that she's seeing all these parallels with to Moon Knight.
Yeah, similarities, like where he's, what time frame he's from as far as, like, war, and, like, he himself has a few different afflictions, like, he's got these crazy burns on him, and, like, all the crazy burns is, like, one of the major differences, but personality-wise, she draws correlating lines between the two.
Yeah. And so she starts thinking that maybe the way that Moon Knight has helped himself, kind of finding a purpose through his madness, that's the same thing that this guy should do. And maybe that'll help him be able to unravel the mystery of his past. Because he's so geared up that he doesn't remember who he is, he doesn't remember his past, he doesn't remember how he got burned. And so she's slowly uncovering these things throughout the course of the issue. And of course, she's also kind of wrapped herself up with this whole idea of Moon Knight and kind of like fell in love with the idea of the Egyptian gods and like using these as kind of a part of her method for treatment for this guy.
It's weird, but yeah.
In the end, we see that some people are broken maybe too much and introducing elements into their care could actually lead them down a totally different path. The cool thing for it is it feels like a very kind of psychological thriller sort of story, and it's setting up some very big thing for Moon Knight in this next round. It's important to say that this issue goes by without really interacting that much with Mark Spector or Moon Knight himself. It's all dealing with this new guy, and it feels like a really well-placed beginning story. So, I think this is going to be a really neat part for Moon Knight to go through, and I actually really enjoy the artwork for the series, for the first issue anyways, or the 188th issue. So yeah, there's a lot of things that happen in here that we really don't want to get into, but it's kind of neat to see this emergence of this new character that's going to be important in the Moon Knight series throughout this first issue.
Feel-wise, it feels like it connects to the other series pretty well.
Yeah, it does.
And granted, I mean, not the same writers, not the same artists, but as far as, like, style, at least the first issue feels like it fits really well.
Yeah.
And that's a bonus.
Yeah, if you just stepped out of the last run, this feels like it fits. So,
score for the book, Rob?
I'd give it a 4. I was very happy with where this is going so far, and it feels pretty well thought out. The previous one, it was like attacking you with madness, so this one feels a little bit more subtle, but I think it's well thought out, so I'd give it a 4.5.
All right. 4.5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Score-wise, I give it a 3.5. I mean, book-wise, it's really good, and that's still a good score. Actually, let me give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 4.
Give it a 3.5?
No, I'm going to give it a 4. Because the art is clean, and it's good.
Yeah.
The introductions of the pieces, like the stepping stones we go through in here, is reminiscent of like a Joker Harley kind of thing going on.
A little bit.
And like I dig that a lot. I like Moon Knight a lot. The character is awesome when he was Mr. Knight. Whether he's Moon Knight or Mr. Knight, either way, both incarnations are awesome. I mean, he's like a Batman. It's just a different kind of crazy. And his crazy deals with multiple personalities, so that's good times. I think he's, at this point in the whole hierarchy of the movie universe or TV universe, I think that Moon Knight is ripe for a show. because I think he'd fit really, 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 really well on Netflix. The way that the whole Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist, the whole Defenders thing, like, he fits in that world real well. He's just another element to that world. Because we've seen superpowers, we've seen mystical weirdness. He would be the magic piece of the mystical weirdness. So I think that'd be awesome. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I think he would fit real well. But yeah, I give it a 4. Entertaining, good. I dig Moon Knight. I think he's an awesome character, so I hope this series runs for a minute.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Moon Knight has been plagued with the short series. I mean, it's all about support, you know. If you don't follow the characters you like, they're not going to have a very long run. That's just how it is.
Right. So let's move on to Black Lightning number 1.
Sure.
Okay. So this is Black Lightning number 1. The series is called Black Lightning Cold Dead Hands. It's a miniseries. It is 6-part. Of course, it's DC Comics, in case you didn't know that already. Or don't know who Black Lightning is, even though he's getting a TV show pretty soon, which I guess doesn't connect to anything else, which is weird, but...
Interesting. Well, it might after a bit. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. So the writer here is Tony Isabella, and the artist is Clayton Henry, which, if in my head, I'm not entirely sure that this is the same artist that did Area 52 back in, like, 96-ish. Which I guess I should have researched that before we started the show, which I didn't. So that's on me. But the artist is freaking awesome. Like, I love this. I love this guy's art. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, super consistent, really well done artwork.
It's just fun. And the dude, he's really good. Like, I dig it a lot. This is definitely an awesome series. Anyhow, so story-wise, we started with Black Lightning showing up on the scene during a bank robbery, of course. And he hasn't been on the scene in a minute. And we get a lot of inner monologue kind of stuff going on where he's talking to himself about getting back into the throw of things and being back in the city and how he wasn't expecting to have to do this soon and wasn't expecting to have to be out in this area. But this group of thugs who have themselves, I don't know, similar to like Captain Cold and Heatwave guns, elemental guns, are running around, call themselves the Weathermen and robbing casinos and whatnot. So, of course, Black Lightning steps in to stop and help the situation. And then we have a little bit of running with a few of the police officers, and a couple of cops aren't so happy to see him. They aren't so happy to have his superpower running around. They actually try to arrest him at first, after he stopped 3 of the robbers. Granted, a couple of them got away, but he still caught half of them and gave them to the cops to take credit for and turn in. In the process of all that, we have some collateral damage to a few buildings that one of the guys who uses a thunder gun shoots the building, of course, to mess stuff up. So, in the process of destroying the building, giant chunks come falling down. And while Black Lightning has lightning powers, and he's learned different ways to use those lightning powers, he's not like Superman. So he tries to stop the debris, move the debris as much as he can. And so while he keeps the debris from hitting the officers, it crushes the hell out of a police car. And of course they turn around and want to go after him for damage in police property. Ultimately it's not his fault, which clearly we see, but in the throw of things, you know, it's that whole us versus them kind of thing, which this book kind of addresses that too. So it's a little bit political there. I don't think bad, but interesting. Anyhow, as we move forward, we get some more inner monologue and like open monologue where he's talking about why he's there. And we want to find out he's there because of someone dying, so he's there for a funeral. And then that leads us to the other side of the park, which is a group connected to the people who supplied the weapons for our Weathermen. And there's some interesting family dynamic in there, too, that goes very sour. I think that's a pretty key issue to the thing, so I'm not going to tell you who it is or what it is or what we talk about, because it kind of goes over a big chunk of who we're going to be dealing with during the story. From there, we jump to some supporting cast for Black Lightning, and his whole deal is he's a teacher by day, and then when he goes out vigilanting, he's Black Lightning. Well, he's got a friend in the police department that's a detective lady, and I'm pretty sure they've had a romantic element before this. I don't remember enough of the old series to know that for sure. Yeah. But the way the two of them act is very, like, they're intermingled that way. But she knows he's Black Lightning, and, of course, while they're at the funeral, well, I guess it's after the funeral, so the The Wake.
The Wake, yeah.
We wind up having a call that there's the weathermen are downtown calling for Black Lightning because now they're looking for revenge. And that leads to both of them leaving. And things unravel at the showdown, I guess, which leaves Black Lightning not in a happy position. So I'm going to leave it there because the way this book swings is what sets up the whole chase for the rest of the book. Score-wise, I give it 3.5. Like, I love the art. The story is very... There's definitely pieces from modern, or from what's going on in the last 6 months in the public arena. Well, maybe longer than that, last 2 years. So there's definitely pieces in there that have a political nature to it. I think the way it comes off is real well, and I dig what they're doing story-wise. So yeah, I give it 3.5. I'm interested to see the rest of it. It is only 6 parts, so we'll see how it goes. But book-wise, it's interesting. He puts name drops in there. He's like, oh yeah, I took the Batman 101 course for stealth. And it's like, awesome, because he really has been around all the other characters. I mean, he ran with the Justice League for a while, so all the name drops he puts in there are things that make sense, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, I give it 3.5. Rob, you gonna score for that book?
Sure. I think I'd follow suit. I'd probably go 3.5 as well. The only thing that's tricky for me is I always have a hard time wrapping my head around whether we were using the New 52 version of Black Lightning or the regular version of Black Lightning, because he was around actually in New 52 very briefly. Honestly, fantastic story. Love the artwork for it. It's actually a great starting spot in DC right now for a neat side character. I really like the catch that we didn't really talk about. I think that's really cool, and if you're not familiar with that character, yeah, Wikipedia him up, because it's a cool read. But I think that they handled a pretty tricky subject in this story, and kind of did it the right way. I mean, you get a lot of times where they say they did the right thing, they just beat a horse to death. I think this was actually done pretty well.
Well, it's kind of subtle, and it's not, yeah, like you said, it's not overpowering. The political nature is there, but it's not like punching you in the face. Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to see, I guess, as issues go on, but so far they're doing it the right way, and I think the story is going to be pretty awesome, and characters like Black Lightning are not necessarily what you think of like as an A-list kind of DC hero, so it's kind of cool to see a story like this where it's being played out really well, even though he's kind of more of a minor character, so.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say 3.5, I think. Pretty well done. I like the artwork as well, of course. So
cool. All right, let's move on to Runaways, number 3.
All right. So this is going to be written by Rainbow Raleigh, with art by Chris Anika. Runaways has had a lot of stuff going on since it started. One of the big things is that Runaways started originally in 2003. So there's been, kind of a bit of continuity for this series, and we've had a handful of different writers on it. The big crutch for this series is that a character named Chase was the son of mad scientists. And his mother and father were evil, mad geniuses that created these flame gauntlets. And Greta, who was a character that actually was killed in the first 10 issues of the Runaway series. She's the daughter of a couple of time-traveling supervillains that had brought in a dinosaur called Old Lace back in time with them to be guardians of Greta. So yeah, she's kind of cool on her own, but really it's the dinosaur that's awesome. Anyways, Chase had always been torn up that he couldn't save her, that there was nothing they could do, and he finally gets a chance to do that. He finds a way to hotwire their old time travel machine and go back and save Greta. Well, when he brings her back to their time, she's just been missing for X number of years, and is totally distraught with the idea that the Runaways have kind of completely broken up, and most of them don't talk to each other at all. And she's kind of like, what the hell? Why'd you let your family just fall apart? And so it kind of starts them on this road trip to go and find each of the Runaway members and kind of bring them back if they want to come back. And as we're going, we kind of knew, if you read the previous series, that Greta and Chase had a relationship. And it was always kind of this thing that she didn't want to commit to. And now she's even more broken up with it because the age difference is even bigger. You get a lot of the inner turmoils of the characters. And what makes this story so good so far is that if this story was being put out by, say, Image, it would fit in perfectly well there. It's not about the superpowers. It's not about any of the fantastic stuff that goes on in Marvel. Normally, it's just about these characters, and it's just about them reconnecting kind of as people to each other, and how, people can drift apart, but why do they do it? And it's funny because as a reader, you kind of know the reasons, but when Greta kind of says it, it's like, why did you let that happen? Why did you, just let these people move out of your life? I mean, they were your family. How do you let go? As the series continues to heat up, we're finding some of the characters don't want to go back. They've moved on, they've grown up. And going back to being, kids kind of on the run doesn't really appeal to them anymore.
Right, they've grown past it.
Yeah. But we're also seeing that somebody has been monitoring at least some of them. And the next one that we're going to come up to is a character named Molly. And if you read the original Runaway stuff at all, or, you're familiar with any of these characters, Molly is kind of the dynamo character with the little hat. It's a super strong little brunette girl. And she was kind of the heart of the group. And so she's kind of the one they have their eyes set on next. But we're seeing a lot of kind of sneaky surveillance stuff. So whatever's going to happen, it's going to be big and it's coming up soon. So even though maybe the Runaways have forgotten about their family, people haven't forgot about the Runaways yet. It's actually a pretty darn good story. It's sort of understated. And it's got two things that are working against it. One is that it isn't really a big action-y packed book. It's more about the characters and their personal lives. And two, the Runaways, it's not necessarily the most top-of-the-mind series right now. I would say, truthfully, if you're at your store and you're wanting to get something that has a little bit more character meat, definitely look into Runaways. Because you're getting a lot more personality and a lot more character development in this story than you are really action-y stuff. If you have somebody that's like, I like comics, but I don't know if I really like superhero stuff, this might be the book for them. I mean, it's going to get there, but you're going to get there in a slower pace. And once that stuff starts happening, I think it'll be more impactful to the reader. I've really enjoyed the artist on it. I think they do a good job. The writing for it so far has been really good. I can't say that I know these characters so well that they're 100% who they should be. But they feel like the emotions for the characters feel very genuine. That's what I guess I'm trying to get at. And you get a dinosaur again. You get Old Lace, who's like a velociraptor dinosaur dog. And every once in a while, he gets like Scooby-Doo thought bubbles, which is kind of cool.
It's pretty hilarious. Definitely hilarious. The thought bubbles.
I guess I would give it a solid 3. I actually think it's well done. I like the art for it. I like that this isn't just kind of slam them together. They're really doing a good job of kind of building out who these characters are again. But yeah, it's just kind of sad that it hasn't quite picked up. But I think people just, give it a chance. It's a pretty good series. It's just, it's a little different. So, those of you who are fans of more indie stuff, give this one a shot, because it's more like what you're picking up. Just, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. It's not that it's different from Marvel. It's just that it's more character driven. And I think that's a lot of what more of the indie crowd is looking for. So, check it out.
Cool. Well, like you said, character building, not that the other Marvel books don't have it, but like this one, the way it's driven is definitely more about their inner turmoil kind of stuff.
Yeah, right now it's definitely about that. And right. I don't see that changing for at least the first arc. I mean, we might have a 10-part arc just to kind of bring these characters back together. I mean, it's kind of a significant thing, and it's, it's become almost blasé that if a character dies, they're going to come back. And when they come back, it's kind of like, yo, I'm back. And we don't really there's not a lot of dealing with the consequences of that kind of thing. So this is kind of a neat other side of the coin where we really are dealing with sort of the fallout of it. Yeah. Of this character coming back, and, she keeps saying, it was yesterday that we were friends. It was yesterday that this happened. Well, for the rest of them, it's been a number of years.
Right.
So...
Well, score-wise, I mean, book-wise, I'll give you the first... I say probably reading the first 3 together would be a lot better than reading them one by one.
Yeah, sadly.
Because the first one runs a little slow.
I do feel it's stronger at 3.
Book-wise, it definitely hits its pace at 3. So if you read the first one, you're like, yeah, I say give it the next 2, and then see how you feel after 3. Because 3, we definitely have some major steps forward, and the espionage starts coming to fruition. So, like, pickup-wise, I think, if you give it to 3, you can decide whether you really like it or not, because 1 moves a little slow. And, like, this catch with her, yeah, it's a bigger deal if you know who the character was. But book-wise, I give it a 3. I give it a 3. So let's move on to Port of Earth for an entirely different kind of thing.
Yes.
Port of Earth is coming out from Image Comics. This is written by Zach Kaplan, and the artist is Andrew Mutai. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's Mutti is the artist. So we open up, and basically open up with the void of space, and there's some dialogue talking about how Earth is, and how we've always believed that there was other life out in the galaxy, and we've always been looking to the stars, and then one day it finally came, and talks about first contact and this group of aliens that showed up on Earth, and how they wanted to invite us to be part of a cabal of planets, and started talking about how they had figured out how to make water turn into power to fuel vehicles, and they give us that information. They teach us, give us their science, as long as we build them a port to stop at to be able to refill their vehicles. I mean, after all, we do have a lot of water. And according to what they'd say number-wise, it made perfect sense for the technology versus the little bit of water they would need. And so from there, we do some time jumping, because we start out with the first arrival, and we see like newsfeed style, and we jump to where the port's already built. And we have our first couple visitors coming to Earth, and they're not here very long, and they fuel up and they take off, and no one sees anything. Then eventually, of course, that leads to more ships and more ships and more ships. And then eventually that leads to aliens leaving the port, which goes about as well as you can expect, because you have people that are, oh yay, welcome to Earth. And then you have people that are like, get them aliens out of here. So, of course, it turns into a bloody mess for a minute, which leads the cabal that we believe we were part of. We find out they're less like a group of sentient planets and more like a gas station company that just decided to make Earth a gas station for the group. But at this point, we've already agreed the terms of the deal, and what we're getting from them, we can't very well just shut it down. So they elect to tell us to police ourselves and police our planet ourselves. And the cabal just basically bounces. Provide a lot of information and technology, weapon-wise, and they provide a lot of information about other species and other alien types and what they're more or less likely to do. Which leads us to forming our own police force, mostly to deal with them. The ESA is what they're called. And while ESA is like an organization built to basically monitor and try to keep the aliens on the port and out of causing problems, ultimately they're more like a babysitting service, and without going through multiple ranks of what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, it determines whether they can actually stop them. Because the whole alignment with the cabal is so questionable, because half cabal wasn't really mad that a bunch of humans died, but they were super pissed that some of the clients from the gas station died. And that didn't rub them the right way at all. Anyhow, so we go through a little more social commentary type stuff, and then we wind up finding out that we've got a couple guys inside the group on the ESA that are going to be assigned to be followed by a set of televised drones. So we have a news anchor lady who's made a deal to be able to have these guys followed around by cameras. And of course, one's more playful with the whole situation, like, if there's any problems, we can get it taken care of. And that guy's like, well, seriously, the weapons we have are all stun weapons. They're not full death weapons. And then the guy's like, oh, unless you know how to tinker with those, and someone's taking classes on how to work on this stuff, so we can get it done. So he's very like, oh, I'm going to kick in the door and start shooting type, even though he can't really do that and isn't allowed to do that. Anyhow, we wind up finding out that we're going to have a whole Senate of the Cabal coming to visit Earth for a meeting, and the only two that aren't sent to that part of the facility are our two guys being followed by the drones. They're sent out to investigate a body, which both of them feel like is grunt work. However, one's happy. The guy who's not all headstrong is happy to do it, whereas the other one's like, yeah, this is stupid. They should be sending the peons to do this, not us. And in the process from there, we wanted to find out some certain things about these batch of dead bodies and lead to a possible culprit, which just leads to more intrigue and mystery. And why is it all happening at the same time? This crazy meetings happening with all the different planet types. Anyhow, there's some catches in there that I don't want to give away, and the end catch is definitely leading us into danger. So I'm going to stop there. Art's pretty good. I mean, it's a little rougher than the other stuff I like, but the tone for it's really cool. Like, the coloring's really cool. The aliens look really cool. As far as like a book, this could easily be a sci-fi show on any network, because it's awesome. I mean, it's got political nature to it. The whole idea of aliens coming to Earth and certain factions not wanting aliens around, and so like it's got that whole political tone to it too. But man, the first issue I think was great. Like, it's fun. Super impressed by it. The art for it's great. The aliens look awesome. Depending on which cover you get, there's two different covers. The cover that's of the port, so the facility itself, and another cover of this crazy Cthulhu-looking alien. And it's freaking awesome. Score-wise, I give it a 3.5. I think the first issue is pretty strong. It sets up a lot of things I like, though. I like espionage weirdness, and I like time travel craziness also, but like pieces of this book have that I enjoy. The whole setup of quickly getting to the setup of what's going on and why they're here, and then us trying to police and take care of the problem. And the hook at the end is basically someone's here that shouldn't be here, and now we're going to have to try to deal with it, which I think is awesome. And like, both the guys play off each other real fun, the two main characters, because they're like, it's like Starsky and Hutch, you know? Which, granted, if you've never seen the actual TV show, that doesn't help you. Like, literally at all. That's a terrible way to describe it. So like, Chrononauts, we've got the serious scientist guy, and you have the fun-loving jerk. It's like same idea, buddy cop. Just with an alien backdrop. But yeah, I give it 3.5. I think it was awesome. Super stoked to see the rest of it. I really dig the way the aliens are drawn. Like, they're drawn really cool. Anyhow, so that's what I'm going to stop there with stuff. Rob, you have a score for that book?
I'd give it, I'm going to go a little lower. I think actually 3. I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed how the story was told. I'm not a big fan of the coloring. And usually that's not something that throws me off, but there's something about this, like, kind of just kept drawing me out of the story as I went through it, because it has kind of a limited palette. I like what they built. I think it's a good idea. It's a really neat idea, and it's tough to take something that's actually really original and do well with it quickly, you know? Because a lot of times when you're doing a sci-fi thing, either you're relying on tropes that everybody kind of knows, or you're taking forever to set it up, and this felt like they got things pretty quickly done, and it doesn't really feel too trope-like yet.
Right. So we do cover a lot of ground in the first issue as far as time and, like, distance between them showing up and the police force being built. So yeah, it does kind of cover a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's move on to Ragman number 2.
Yes. Alright, so I know I'm going to get the artist's name wrong, but we're gonna try. So we're going to be written by Ray Fox, and Inaki Miranda is the artist. So just to, I don't want to like slow things down too much, but if you were a fan of Ragman before, this story is a completely unique take. So don't really expect it to be just picking up where you left off. If you never were a fan of Ragman because you thought he was weird, or you just didn't like the idea of him,
Didn't know existed,
whatever, like this is a new take. It's not got any of that stuff with it.
And it's also separate from the Arrow TV show, where he was in the last couple seasons. So it's different than that also. So this is more of a comic book version of him. So it's not really the same as either one. It's basically a rebirth version.
Yeah. Now, that being said, it looks like they're building out to have some of the same abilities. This is going to be a 6-part series, and it looks like they got a really good idea of how they're going to tell the story, and they're giving it to us in a way that we don't really know everything that's happened yet. So our guy, Roy Reagan, who is going to be our Ragman for the story, kind of the things that we can piece together is that when he was in, I don't want to say Iraq, but it might be.
I don't remember.
But when he was overseas with the military group, he and his pals had thought to use the diversion of an attack to raid a tomb. And they thought that they were going to pull up some great riches. Once they got into the tomb, and they found the sarcophagus, they didn't quite find what they thought they were going to find in there. But they were attacked by what looked like insurgents with glowing yellow eyes. Now, coming out the back of that, our main character is the only one who makes it back to the U.S.
Well, pretty much all the other guys are wiped out.
Yeah.
Like, none of them make it out of there.
Yeah, he's the only one who makes it over here. And there winds up being some crazy stuff at the end of the first issue that begins being resolved in the second issue. But a lot of what we're seeing is that it seems like whatever has changed him, whatever has made him now be able to draw on the power of the Ragman, has its own kind of sentiency, and it seems like it can draw out spirits of things that it's touched. And so he's being talked to by some of his friends that died overseas. He's being talked to by some of the creatures that he fought in the first issue. And he's being, attacked by these creatures in this one, but they're not just physically attacking him, they're also attacking his mind and trying to get at, kind of making him give up on himself. So their take is being pretty interesting, and the creatures that are attacking him are really unique as well. They all have this very old Europe sort of dialect. So they do a lot of thous and their art kind of stuff when they talk.
They talk very, very, I don't know, Odie kind of. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like Old English sort of.
Yeah. I would say if there was one thing that you can kind of take out of this, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in this story, and there's a lot of ways that it starts dragging you. The question is really, where does Ragman get this power from? And whether or not we should believe any of the things that are talking to him from inside of his suits. Because we really don't know what happened when he first becomes Ragman. And we don't really know if the voices that talk to him are real or not real, or have something to do with the suit, or don't have something to do with the suit. So far, it's been a really well-done supernatural kind of thriller, and it has a lot of the same feel that I thought early Spawn had, where we're really dealing with kind of a mystery, not only in the things that are dangerous in this world and kind of are attacking him, but the mystery of where his powers come from and how they interact with him or the world around him.
Like he's the only one that survived. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different elements that come through, and there's a lot of human elements that come through, because he's also kind of having to make peace with the people that didn't make it back. One of them was a very close friend of him before he went into the service, and so that guy's wife and son are wrapped up in this story too. So, but you know what? It was a pleasant surprise. I've always kind of liked Ragman. I think actually they did a great job of it. So I'd give it a 4. It's a very strong title so far. As for a miniseries, it feels really well figured out. And I know that sounds kind of stupid, because most of the time when you go into a miniseries, you know what you're going to do. But like, this feels like they had the complete pacing figured out before they came into this, because they're really kind of stringing you along on like what happened to the people around him, what his life is like now in the first issue, and in this issue they're kind of playing with the idea that he's going to these self-help meetings because his mind is a little fractured. I don't know, I think they've got a really good idea where they're going with this, and I think this run for Ragman might be the one that kind of propels him into a more recognized status, I guess. So, but I'd give it a 4. It's totally worth picking up. Ragman for the miniseries.
Sweet. Let's see. Score-wise, man, the art is fantastic. And, mystery-wise, it is interesting how they're leaving, certain things unanswered. And I remember seeing the early Ragman books. I know I've read a few of them. I can't for the life of me remember anything about, other than his power, his rags being, unending. And, when he is Ragman, he's nearly impervious. I don't really remember anything about the rest of the story, and maybe it's just because of the time frame that they were coming out, and I don't think I got a lot of them. I mean, I know we have some in the store, but I've never really read a lot of that stuff. But book-wise, at least the first issue is really tight. The second issue is pretty freaking good, too, and, all the mystery with the crazy demons and, all the weird stuff the demons keep saying to him to mislead him or guile him or rile him is crazy. The idea that he's still talking to his dead friends, too, is freaking crazy. Yeah. So it's hard to say, did the suit eat them? Did the suit absorb them? What exactly is going on is still crazy. I mean, clearly he's battling these demons, and, that stuff's all plain and simple. But the mystery side of it's what's really, intriguing. But yeah, I give it a 3. I give it a 3. It is good. Miniseries also, just like Black Lightning. Yeah. Very different art style from Black Lightning, but, man, it is fantastic. Because, like you said, early Spawn, it's wild, man. Yeah. It is awesome. So, that stuff is great.
Yeah, they're definitely going to town on, the look of Ragman for this story.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, sadly, I probably know way more about Ragman than I should. And there is a lot of similarities to this version and the previous. It feels like they're definitely taking it in the right direction.
Okay, so as far as books, I guess that wraps for books. We're going to run the interview with Matteo Scalera. Fantastic artist, fantastic guy, super awesome to talk to. This interview is from DenverComicCon 2017. Waited a year to do this interview. I feel really bad that I haven't gotten it to you guys sooner, because I definitely should have. And Matteo, I apologize to you too, sir, for not getting it out sooner. Anyhow, so we're going to run that guy. So enjoy. Right, this is Steve here with Top 5 Comics Podcast, here at the Denver Comic Con 2017. I'm here with
Matteo Scalera. Hi, guys. I'm an Italian artist, and I'm currently working on Black Science for Image Comics with writer Rick Remender, and that's my main project right now. I've worked on other titles like Deadpool, Secret Avengers, Indestructible Hulk, Batman, so that's my latest work. It's Black Science.
Right, it's fantastic artwork. So,
thank you.
As far as was there a point when did you decide this is what I want to do? Was there a point the light switch turned on? You're like, this is what I'm going to do as a job, or did it just happen, or
Actually, I wasn't really undecided until a certain age, until I was, maybe 22, 23 years old. I've always had a passion for art in general, so I was my studies were divided in two parts. On one side, I was studying art, and specifically for comic books, which have been my passion since I was 4 years old.
Sure.
And on the other side, I had music. I studied at conservatory, and my plan was to play drums. So I was playing drums with bands and stuff. And then I decided, I don't remember the year, but yeah, probably was 22 years old. I participated in a contest, comic book contest, and a really important one in Italy, and even professionals were participating in this, and I won. So I still remember I was in Spain I was at a convention, not as a guest. I was just wandering around and watching other artists draw, and they called me from Italy, telling me that I was the winner. So I was like, you know what? I might be pretty good at this, so I might be thinking about doing this for a living. And from then on, it all started. So that's the story, basically.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
It's really, really cool. So, like, when you were growing up, was there an artist you followed, or was there some inspiration for it? I mean, you were 4, so like, who'd you follow that was like most inspirational to you? I guess.
Well, yeah. Actually, when I was 4, my main thing was cartoons. Actually, like the passion for comic books started when I was 8, 9. So when I was able to read and everything, I understand. And back in the day, it was the 90s, early 90s. So, and Italy, even if it's a small country, we have a huge culture for comic books. And back in the day, you could find in the shops, you could find American stuff. At the same time, you could find Italian stuff like Dylan Dog, Tex. I don't know if you're familiar with those titles.
Dog, yeah.
Yeah, they Dark Horse published it.
Yeah.
So, and back in the day, it was mainly Marvel and DC, mainly Marvel.
Sure.
And you had Spider-Man, McFarlane Spider-Man, and you had Jim Lee's X-Men. So those were the main things that I was following. In general, the X group, so X Factor and X Force and everything else.
Sure.
And then we also had mangas. We have a huge, manga culture as well. Yeah. A lot of people buy manga. So I grew up reading all these different things, and that probably shows up now in my stuff, because you can tell there's some European influences,
Sure, yeah.
some American influences as well, and some manga stuff as well, especially for the action scenes and stuff like that. So
some of your movement lines and stuff. Yeah. I
yeah,
can see that,
yeah.
yes,
So, and sometimes the way I draw some faces, sometimes I add the way they draw the eyes. There's some little stuff here and there.
Sure.
So, and then lately I also discovered French comic books. So I grew up with all these influences, and there was a lot of I was looking at a lot of different stuff. That's my main strength. I think.
A real broad selection of things to see. So lots to learn from, man. That's crazy. That's really pretty awesome.
Yeah, the good thing is that I grew up without specific taste, and I was able, keeping drawing, slowly able to understand that a good thing, the important thing was the quality, wasn't the style necessarily,
right?
And that's really important.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, like, character-wise, I mean, at this point, you've worked on quite a few titles and characters. If you could pick somebody to work on, what would you work on?
Well, actually, like, my dream came already through when I managed to work on Batman. So that was the most, the biggest satisfaction for me. And in general, I love dark characters, because they allow me to use a lot of blacks and stuff, since I love,
a lot of shadows.
Yeah, because I love using brush, so that's like 99% of my pages are done with brush. So I love the Punisher as well, and because it's already dark, dark and hardcore character.
Heck yeah, man.
So that would be another one that I still miss, but hopefully in the future.
Sure.
We'll see.
Have you ever thought about Moon Knight, maybe?
Yeah, Moon Knight. That would be awesome. Especially because he's got a white costume, so in a black environment, it would be nice to find some, cool, composition ideas.
The two things lend to each other. I think.
Absolutely.
Cool.
That would be cool. Nice idea, man.
Yeah. I have little ones. If you're doing karaoke, what's your go-to song?
Oh my God. Oh, that's complicated. Oh Jesus! There's one I really like. There's some songs that everybody know. Some songs by the Scorpions. Okay. I really like. I don't remember the name. Here we come again.
Oh, I know the song you're talking about. I don't know
That's that one. Though. Hopefully my my voice is good enough. People will recognize it. It's like it's that song, but I don't remember the name. And in general, I would say some like thrash metal songs, like Pantera, Hostile. I don't know if the actual title is Hostile or fucking Hostile, but that song I really like.
That's awesome.
Like, it's really fast paced, and it's screaming.
A lot of real emotion to it.
Yeah,
man,
absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, if you were stranded on a desert island, and you take 5 items with you, items can also be people, what would your 5 items be?
Can it be food, whatever?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
pasta, first thing. Like, I cannot live without pasta. Like, any kind of pasta, but pasta.
All right.
A book by Topi, which is an Italian artist, really good one. He died like a few years ago, but he's one of the top artists ever. So a book by Topi for sure. And I don't know, am I just gonna be alone there?
Items can also be people. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring my jiu-jitsu teacher.
All right.
Because I discovered this sport. I mean, I've always known this sport, but I started practicing like a couple of years ago.
That's awesome, yeah.
Almost. And even if it destroys me, because I just come from a surgery and stuff like that, so it was pretty bad. It's been 6 months of rehab.
Gosh, man.
Yeah, I totally fucked up my shoulder and everything.
Holy
so
crap.
it was super bad. But anyways, I keep loving it. That's real love, you know?
Right.
And so, since I'm bringing my teacher, I'm gonna bring my jiu-jitsu kimono.
Sure.
So we can train.
Right.
And then one last thing. A girl that I can't name right now, but I'm starting to know her. I don't really like her, so let's be romantic.
That makes perfect sense.
For once. So, yeah.
Right on. So if you lived in Fantasyland, would you ride a chocolate pony?
Would I ride a chocolate pony? No, because I sweat a lot, so it will melt like underneath my ass in just like 3 minutes. So it wouldn't be good.
Completely understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. I would die like in 3 seconds. I would be on the ground, on the floor in 3 seconds. So yeah.
Right. Well, thanks for talking with us, Matteo. Man, I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Definitely worth the year wait, guys. He's great. Like, he's a super fun guy to talk to. Fantastic artist. Like, the dude's just awesome. He works on Black Science with Rick Remender. It's his current book, and he's got other art pieces that have come out and other pieces that have been done by people for people. So the dude's got art around the world, just all over the place. But as far as like books, Black Science is a big thing right now, which is awesome. Which we rep that book a lot too, because of same reasons Rick Remender.
Yeah.
Man, he gets a lot more press than he should probably. Damn you, Rick Remender. Mostly jokes. Yeah. All kidding. Kidding.
It's all good.
Hey Rob, what'd you learn today?
Black Lightning doesn't wear his costume underneath his clothes because then he'd have lethal BO.
That is exactly what he says in there.
Yeah. And it sort of makes sense. And later he's musing like, Flash says he keeps his costume in a ring. It's ridiculous. And sadly, when I read that, I went, yeah, he's just fast. He just shoves it in the ring.
It doesn't make any sense.
He's just so quick.
Molecularly, it doesn't change.
It's just a really strong latch.
Ah, I see. It's pretty good. Man. All right. What did I learn today, Rob?
You learned if aliens show up and they just want to give you technology, that there's usually a big price tag. That price tag is probably BS.
That is also true. I like how both things we learned were 2-letter analogies, BO and BS.
Oh, sure.
It's awesome. Hilarious.
We learned how to do acronyms today. That's what we really learned. Also
something good to learn. All right, Rob, you got any books to watch?
Oh gosh, the Moon Knight series actually I think is going to have great potential. Thor I think is going to start really heating up again soon. I actually really enjoyed the Black Lightning, so I'm going to be picking that up, continuing for it. Ragman has been really, really well done. I'm a big fan of the Astonishing X-Men, so I want that to be one I keep going for. For me, Birthright has still been fantastic, so that's one I always want to keep an eye out on. Black Science has done really well. Wayward has kind of been back and forth in its release, but it's going strong right now. And I think there's actually a lot of really good stuff in there. Wayward has been a lot of fun still, too. And surprisingly enough, I don't think I've even mentioned this as much as I really enjoy it. The Street Fighter Darkstalkers series that they've been putting out.
The Udon series,
yeah. It's kind of in and out mini-series stuff, but they've done a great job with it so far, so managing those two properties.
Yeah, art's fantastic in it.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Let's see. Well, I give you the Harcourt Legacy, which is from Action Lab. So far, it's only got the one issue out, but I dig the art. It's super fun. It's all about magic and the lineage of a family. It's only a 3-part miniseries. They just come out from Action Lab, which is a smaller company. But yeah, I dig it a lot. I like the main character's look. I dig it. That's awesome. I would also say the new Witchblade series, which won't actually probably be out in the stores, I don't think, until, I want to say end of December, maybe beginning of January. I don't remember the date of release, but it's coming out in the next couple months. Thanks to our friends over at Image, I got to read that guy a little earlier this week, and it's pretty good. We're not dealing with Sarah Pazzini, at least at this point. Whether she'll be part of the story or not, don't know. So for all intents and purposes, it's a very number one type story, because we're dealing with a new host or a different host. And as far as like her place in the world, like the things she's done between A and B, I mean, at one point she was an investigative journalist, and now she's like an assistant to a ADA, dealing with protecting people while they're dealing with court situations. And like her whole spin, at least from what we get from it, is pretty impressive. The art is great in the first issue. Don't know enough to know how far that particular artist is running with the series, but for a first issue, it's freaking great. If you ever liked Witchblade, it doesn't have the same quite the same tone, but yeah, it's a good book. Like, I dig it. I think that's awesome. So I give you that one. I would say, yeah, if you ever liked Witchblade, I would say check it out. Don't expect Sarah Pazzini, so that's not who we get, but I would say check it out anyway. There's another one coming out from Image called Sleepless, and it's our friend Layla Del Duca. Her next project, which surprisingly enough, I got to read that one this week also. It is the same thing as coming out, I think, in December. And it's a fairy tale story, so if you got friends just like with Runaways, if you got friends that are like, oh, I don't like superhero comics, but they're okay with like fairy tale stories, that's basically what it is. It's a fairy tale story.
It might be even something that people who are, missing fables might want to take a look at.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the art it's Layla, so it's great. She is the artist who did Shutter. Shutter a lot more crazy, just because it's crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome, but crazy.
I'd agree.
But yeah, as far as story, Sleepless, we get some interesting night characters and like their properties and how they exist in the world is really kind of cool. How exactly they work, I'm assuming will get explained to you as the series goes on, because the nights are the sleepless, and apparently they just don't sleep. Which is crazy, at least I think. But yeah, book-wise, it's pretty interesting. I mean, we're dealing with a main character who's the daughter of the previous king, and now the new king has taken over after the previous king died. So, where we start in the book is in progress, but that's normal for most books. Anyhow, if you like fairy tale stories, I'd say that would be a good one. So Sleepless from Image Comics would be a good one to watch for. Witchblade, The Harcourt Legacy, Port of Earth I like a lot. It's sci-fi for the sake of sci-fi, so I think that's great. I definitely dig it. One other book I suggest, which I think at this point, no, it's already wrapped up at this point. All 3 issues came out. It's from a much smaller company called Mother Russia. I assume at some point we'll see trades for it. Fun book. I dug it. It's espionage and like surviving in the war. So I think it's awesome. The company puts out newsprint style pages inside.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
So it's a different feel of a book. But yeah, I dig it.
It's also a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, that's true. They're like $1.99 issues. So yeah, I would check for that. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure Diamond still has it. So check with your retailer and see if they can get it.
Yeah.
But those would be what I give you this week as far as books. Of course, Black Science, Deadly Class. I'd say if you get a chance to check out Happy. It's getting ready to have a series release also on Sci-Fi, which we talked about a couple episodes ago. That thing's shaping up to be awesome. So a whole lot of indie comic stuff showing up in different channels and in the world. If you haven't had a chance to check out Westworld, that's supposed to be coming out the disc pretty soon, the HBO series.
Yeah.
It's freaking awesome.
So if
you haven't watched Stranger Things 2 or Stranger Things 1, where have you been? Because it's freaking amazing.
Stranger Things 1 DVDs are out.
They are.
Yeah.
Target got a exclusive style box that's like a VHS style box. It's not exactly the size of VHS, because I've seen them. So they're slightly larger, but it's the style, so that's cool. You can get other places too, but it's an 80s thing, so, if that's your bag, I would say definitely check it out, because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, but Stranger Things is amazing.
Heck yeah, it's great.
Like, just for young actors that, these guys all have I would say they have a pretty bright future. They're pretty impressive.
Heck yeah.
But, aside from just that, they got good young actors, the story is incredible. So.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. So I guess that's enough with Steve. I try to add those out sometimes, but God, that's a lot of work. Anyhow, anything else, Rob?
I don't think so. I always feel bad whenever you say, what books to watch for, because I'm like, hey, Batman, and I feel like I can't say that, but...
No, you can say Batman. Batman Metal's been freaking great. It's crazy as hell. Yeah, but it's great.
There's just a lot of titles that are not very sophisticated titles that I'm just really happy with, so...
Well, regular Batman itself right now, it's Joelle Jones doing the art. Issue 32, 33, I think she's doing the whole run, so 35 and 36. Joelle's, she's a badass. Yeah, art-wise, she altered Helheim, and she has her own book come out through Dark Horse called Lady Killer. Beautiful art. Amazing. Lady Killer's an awesome story, too. But, if you see Batman 30, this current Catwoman story, 32, 33, I want to say 34 and 35 are her also. Covers and interior, and granted, there ain't covers for somebody else, but the interior, if you like the way that looks at all, check out Lady Killer, because it's the same chick doing the art, and that one she writes. So, yeah, she's great. Can't say enough good things about that lady. She's super awesome.
She's super impressive.
Well, art-wise and person-wise, over the few years, the shows I've seen her at, talked to her at, we literally were at a booth next to each other in Denver for a better part of 4 days, back in 2016, I think. Was that the year we had the two booths, the store booth and the art booth? I'm pretty sure it was 2016. Anyway, Google what year she was there. But yeah, my booth was right next to her booth, and so got to talk to the lady throughout the weekend, and she is awesome. Just really, really cool. Anyhow, but yeah, the Batman right now, man, love it.
Yeah. There's
freaking awesome.
There's a lot of good ones. There really is. So maybe I'll have to start throwing more of those in there. Anyways, but yeah, that's it for me. I don't really have a whole lot more.
So Taki?
Hinchin.
Transform? No. Taki's a different thing.
Yeah, Taki's the villains. Taki's the villains. Taki?
Life is on Amanda. Totally different show.
It is.
Space Sheriff. Yeah.